how should we start this?
Hello, diamonds in the rough.
Hello, diamonds in the rough.
I can't even say it.
Hello, Diamonds in the Rough. We're Just Weebs. This is a Just Weebs podcast. And if you didn't figure it out already, today we're talking about Blue Lock. Are you fucking ready for this?
I've been so ready.
I'm ready. We've been holding off on this. We really want to talk about it. But before we get into that, I didn't do this last episode. We got to introduce ourselves. I'm Onimaru, and I'm here with...
Shocking. Hi, guys.
So we got recently into Blue Lock.
Yeah, who would have thought, based on our fall 2020? Yeah, fall 2020 episode, that we would be here today.
So to give you some background, in case you were tuned into the streams beforehand, or if you didn't watch it, or if you did, we initially talked about Blue Lock when it was airing during the World Cup. Very timely.
I forgot about that.
On fall 2022. And we gave our first impressions on all the anime that had been airing, kind of what we were into, what we liked, what we didn't like.
Yeah.
And Blue Lock wasn't one of them. We weren't feeling Blue Lock. We were both kind of like...
But don't actually like Blue Lock.
Something about it was just like...
We'll see.
We watched 2 episodes. It's kind of cringe.
Bit too cringe for us?
A little bit. I think... Shaw, you were a little more down on it than I was.
You're like, it's cringe, but I'm having fun. I'm like, I don't know if I'm having fun yet.
You were like, I don't think this is fun. And I'm like, it was fun until the whole thing with the monster inside of, what's his name? Bachira in episode 2. Once he started spewing that philosophy, I'm like, I don't know, man. And the monster didn't help that he was like CGI.
Yeah, the CGI
so
monster.
It doesn't look good. So we weren't feeling it. And then I don't know what happened.
But we kept watching.
We recently caught up with each other, hey, how's it going? And we both fell down a rabbit hole of Blue Lock. Yeah. We had an amazing conversation about it. I'm like, okay, so we're both feeling Blue Lock. So for me, what happened was right before I went to Japan, I was like, well, what's a good anime to watch before I go to Japan that I'm probably going to see a lot of there? Yeah. And I'm like, maybe I should watch Blue Lock. Because I had a friend that was going with me and she I didn't know, big Blue Lock head, loved Blue Lock, was really into it. Maybe because she's kind of a Fujo. So.
Fujo friendly.
Yeah, and they were going to go to the cafes, there's an exhibition there, they were going to get merch. And I'm like, I don't know, is it really that popular? And then she tells me oh no, Blue Lock's actually really popular in Japan. It's it has the best-selling, it's the best-selling manga this year.
Yeah.
In Japan. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. Because all I heard was the negative stuff, the people that were kind of down on it.
It has a reputation, especially in the West, people are a bit it's very hit or miss. You either vibe with it or you don't, especially the tone and approach. Exactly. So we see the people posting the cringe fan translated manga panels, and then you get the CGI, I have the monster inside me, which doesn't look the best, and everyone's it's enough to go off on it.
It's very memeable, and very so the memes out of context, and even in context, don't do it any favors. But with that in mind, I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I also was I wanted to get a video out for my own channel, and I was like, you know what, maybe I should ride the Blue Lock hype because it was about to end at that season. So I'm like, let me watch it. So I watched it beforehand, before going to Japan, and I finished it right before, and then I didn't intend to read the manga. I'm like, let me just see where it goes a bit, and then I couldn't stop. I ended up catching up, just binging the whole thing. And
there's a lot of chapters.
It's
at least 100 chapters.
Yeah, and no, it's like a 200 now.
It's over 200 chapters.
Yeah, it's over 200.
Yeah, but I think it ends off at chapter 90. Yes. So you have to probably get to 220.
Yeah, it's a lot of chapters. Yeah, the trek after that. But I think by the end of season 1, I was surprised at how all in I was.
Yeah,
I was like, I actually have enough to talk about the show, but I kind of want to know what happens because it does leave you off. The anime leaves you off at this cliffhanger sort of thing. It's the start of the next arc. Yeah. But that's how I fell in. How did you fall in?
So I think I decided, I watched the first couple episodes and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to really be involved in this, or I don't know if I hate saying this. I don't know if I'll ironically like it or unironically like it, because I know for a lot of people, they're like, if I'm enjoying it, it's good. And I think to a certain extent that's true. But I wasn't sure if I was really going to connect with it like I did with other over-the-top series. Because in my head, I kept comparing it to Kuroko no Basket is the very easy point of comparison for me, which is, you know, another series that a lot of people don't really take as seriously because it has such an over-the-top presentation. But I found that, like, Kuroko no Basket, it does have an over-the-top presentation, but it has a very, like, grounded, emotional, thematic core, which is why I was able to connect with it and really enjoy it. So my question was, like, will Blue Lock have that same kind of connection? And I think it ended up being a bit different.
Yeah,
but I did
end up connection.
Different connection, definitely not a grounded emotional core.
Definitely not.
But it's definitely it's definitely just a very different series, and I connected to it in a very different way.
It's, speaking of Kuroko no Basket, I unfortunately never got into it, but I've always heard good things, and I saw that the people comparing it, like trying to bring up the comparison, like, oh, this might be similar to Blue Lock, but then they were like, oh no, Kuroko's better, or like,
I
Kuroko,
do think it's better.
Like Blue Lock is too ridiculous. Like the people that were down on it, they were like, don't make that comparison because Kuroko is doing something different.
They also have like literally the exact opposite messages. Because Kuroko no Basket is about like these like 6 players who are all like, so the generation of miracles, as you probably heard, of like who are so head and shoulders better than everyone that they stopped having fun playing basketball because it wasn't really a challenge for them, and they gave up on the idea of teamwork because their team wasn't doing anything for them. So Kuroko no Basket is about like rediscovering your love for basketball through teamwork and working together.
Whereas Blue Lock is about being toxic as you can be, as long as you can win. But like, and I actually think that's why I'm trying to like recall. I think that's why I was a little less down on it than you were, because I know a lot of people were saying this, but I did find it to be true that, you know, while people were taking offense with the message, I did find it to be a little more refreshing. Blue Lock's approach of like, hey, fuck teamwork. Like, it's all about being the best striker. And okay, if you look at it from a sports perspective, like a sports aficionado, you're just like, that's not how it works. What is it doing? But it's like, well, it's fiction, and it's just really hyper-focusing on one aspect.
And we talked about this a bit kind of before we were recording, that like, I think a big thing to keep in mind is like the cultural elements to it, where like, you know, we're recording, not doxing us, but we have an American perspective. We're recording from America. We've never needed to be reaffirmed, you know, think for yourself, be your own
individual.
Be an individual, because that's like so part of our culture. It's that whole like freedom, you know, follow your own dreams, follow your passion, like American dream. Whereas like Japan does have that very much like, you know, you are part of society. You know, you always hear in anime where it's like, you don't want to be a waste on society. You want to.
It's basically don't stick out. Like,
don't stick out, be for the team. It's very much a team-oriented culture. So I was kind of rewatching the first episode, and you see that like Isagi is like about to like potentially score a goal, and his, you know, teammate is open, and he passes to his teammate, and then his teammate misses. It's all about kind of correcting that assumption that like someone else can handle it, someone else can take care of it. You're doing a good for your team by passing it, and it's all about correcting that thought process to try and get them saying like, no, if you have the goal, shoot, go for it, believe in yourself. You need to go make it happen. Don't rely on other people if you're in a position that's capable. And it's like, it becomes apparent that it's not just like, you know, well, part of it, don't just be a psychopath. It's about like, if you have the confidence and self-assurance to go do it, make it happen. And you can see as the series progresses, it's not just like, hey, be the biggest asshole you can be. It's like believe in yourself, have confidence.
There's actually shortcomings to that mindset, but it tackles that later. First, it needs to like really break them out of that, like you're saying, break them out of that mindset. So it needs to go to the extreme because they need to be pulled out of the mindset that's been ingrained in them. And so then once they can do that, then it's like, okay, now we can like go a little more advanced and actually mold this mindset to work in a team. Mostly. For the most part. Not completely.
It is interesting how it's like a weird combination of like, as the series progresses, both as an anime and manga, that it gets like, you get a bit more sense of perspective on what they're trying to go for, but then it still gets more extreme, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? It's both at the same time.
Blue Lock is the only like manga, and talking about the connection or what it has that it does differently, like how you connected it to in a different way, it is like, it uses its ridiculousness as its strength. Which is crazy, to build its own hype. And like at one point, like at first you think it's too ridiculous, but then as it gets more ridiculous, you're just buying into it. You're like, fuck yeah.
Here we are.
Let's go.
And I gotta say, I was reflecting on this because I by proxy of like, you know, everyone I interact with in real life, I've seen a lot of sports, a lot of different types of sports. And I've seen a lot of sports fans. And I was thinking about it because, you know, there's kind of like a weird anime thing where it's like everyone wants their sports anime to be like super grounded, super realistic. I want you to ask Atlanta Falcons fans after the Super Bowl if they felt like that Super Bowl was a grounded and realistic performance when Tom Brady came back after being down. What was the score? It's like 21-7 or something,
like
or
that.
24-7. And he came back and they destroyed them. I don't think anyone found that grounded or realistic.
Yeah.
And like anyone who is facing Tom Brady with 30 seconds to go, down by like 2 scores, and he somehow does it. There's a lot. So what I'm getting at is there's a lot of sports that's so ridiculous and over the top, even if it's just in a player's presence, that they themselves being on the field can make miracles happen, and you're shitting yourself. Like that was how everyone who was playing the Patriots felt for like 20 years.
Yeah, because there are sometimes there are players that are just so talented, or they work so hard, or the mix of both, that they just kind of defy all human logic,
Yeah.
And they're doing these amazing things on the field that no matter how much of grounded hard work that you have that's shown in a show, it's like doesn't always work that way.
So it's also like I respect, my favorite sports anime manga is a very grounded series. It's Haikyuu. I love Haikyuu. I love that it's grounded, and I love that it does still have those hype moments. But I think we would be remiss to not recognize that a lot of times in sports, there's not that much groundedness. Sometimes people are crazy, including like, talking. I guess I'm not sure if I should call it soccer or football for the sake of everyone else. So football, not American football. I don't know if you've seen a football fan, but they're kind of insane. Yeah. Like every week I log on to Twitter, and if I see like 10 people posting suicidal thoughts, I have to ask myself, is there a football match on, or is something going on? Like that's literally.
I've seen videos, and like I had a brief phase. Like I've never really followed sports too much, but like I have like phases, and there was one phase where like one summer, I think it was like years ago, like I got into the World Cup, and I was like learning everything like that month because I just wanted to be in on it and like see like what was going on with the games. Yeah, and like I was bonding with my dad. We never talked about sports and like asking questions, but everybody was like so like insane about it. And it was just like, this is fun.
It is fun. And I think I'm not shaming
it's like you get like, you ride the hype with it, I
mean, I'm an Eagles fan. So like it's like everyone's Eagles fan. So, but that's like how, and like imagine that. So, and I'm not saying it as like a point of criticism. It's just people are so passionate about it that I think it really does work for this kind of sport because everyone is dramatic, everyone's over the top. And I do get that like some real life football fans are like, this is an insult to the sport. I don't vibe with it. I don't like it. And fair enough, but I don't give a shit. So I'm here.
I know I said rip, but I actually don't know anything about like the Eagles or
well, they're just like a crazy fan base. Like you hear like passionate, crazy fan, like just very into it. And I've heard that there are a lot of international fans who will watch American football and they like aren't sure what team to get into. And like some like, they'll be like, well, the Eagles fans are the only ones who are as like crazy passionate about their sport as we are for football, soccer. So they're like, oh yeah, so like we're gonna follow them, and it's like, insane recognizes insane. You're real. Like,
hey.
Yeah.
Insane sees insane.
Yeah.
So, but like that is very true though. Going back to Haikyuu, like it is like loved because it's so grounded, and like how it doesn't have to rely on any like, like over the top like abilities. It's everything's kind of like step by step and kind of like gradual improvement and, reflected on that, like not any anime defying like logic. But I think that was also coming off of like, as like a response or reaction to like all the sports anime that kind of came before Haikyuu's time, which were like Prince of Tennis or like other ones that like would go like super like ridiculous.
Super crazy.
With like the abilities that they were doing. Like, all right, this isn't real. This is like a fantasy. Like it's still fun. It's still hype, but it's like, Haikyuu was so refreshing at the time and it's still like really good even, not at the time, like now that it's like over. But because it took that grounded approach.
Yeah, definitely.
Then now because we have Haikyuu, now we can have Blue Lock.
Exactly. Haikyuu
walk so Blue Lock could run.
No. We'll post that and that'll be our clip to like get people into it and it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
But and I also think ultimately we can have both and they can bring different things to the table and just be just as fun.
Yeah.
Which is why I think we're both like, we went into it, we weren't sure what to think about Blue Lock. And then we're like, you know what? We're having fun. I'm kind of feeling it.
It's kind of like when I was first like watching it, I was still like in the season, the anime, and I was kind of like, I saw where like things were playing out, like they're building up to this match against Baro, and I kept remembering the meme that I kept seeing on the fucking timeline, and I'm like, I want to get to this. I want to get to this moment. Like I was so excited for it, and then I got to the episode, I'm like, this is the episode. I bet this is the episode that he wasn't the king. And then when I got to the subtitle and it was like the correct subtitles, I was so disappointed.
It's like I literally, when I went to go read the manga after the anime stuff, I literally double checked to make sure I had the fan subs because I wanted the crazy subs. crazy translations. I went to the borrow chapter, make sure I'm like, is it say I wasn't the king? We're in the right spot. Let's go. But
it's so crazy because like borrow is like so like cringe and kind of like a great example of like Blue Lock's inherent like brand of ridiculousness and like borrow is like literally fighting against his own team and sabotaging them just because he wants to keep the goal and it makes no sense, but for them it makes sense. And I wasn't like rooting for Borrow at all, but then after that, he became my king.
He became the king.
Because he just brings so much of the hype. Like, he just gets on the field. It's like, fuck yeah, Borrow, my toxic king.
Toxic goat. Yeah. I think it was funny watching those couple episodes. We can start at the beginning in a second.
Yeah.
But it's so funny watching those because I'm like, so he's not passing the ball. How are they going to get him to pass the ball and still be Blue Lock? Yeah. And they had an answer.
Yeah. I think that's not when he was like not passing the ball. Like I was like not feeling what he was doing. 'Cause it didn't make any sense. But once he just doubled down and he was like, you know what? The way I'm going to do this is by like focusing on devouring you. Like just stealing the ball from you. And that's like his signature. And I'm like, oh man. That's
Go off, King. Yeah.
That's it. So I thought that was really pretty dope. So
that was so funny.
So then should we go?
She started at the beginning. So
the very beginning.
So yeah. So it starts at the beginning of the series. We after we get Isagi loses, he's demoralized. Then they get invited to Blue Lock. Which
I guess should we spoilers for
we're doing the anime at least.
Just the anime. Are we doing the manga at all?
Yeah, we can do the manga. We'll let people know when it's like this is manga time.
Okay.
So they start off and then they get split up into these teams when they're in what I call the Squid Game of soccer.
Yeah.
But they're in less like compounds where it looks like fucking jail.
Yeah.
They're in like soccer, football jail. And so they get split up into teams and then they have to do like a round robin to determine who will win and go to the next rounds. And then they have, like whoever scores the most amount of goals for your team will also make it through. And so we're presented with like the bottom barrel 5 teams. Mm-hmm. I forget if there were 5.
I think it was something like that.
Yes.
I actually found like that was really refreshing with what they did with like the first like 10 episodes where they're still like not really competing like with like other teams. Like they're still sort of like in the training and like the elimination. I found it like really cool that they kept trying to like switch it up in interesting ways by having like the dynamics, like different like pairings like mixed together and all that stuff. So
well, I think it's one thing I think is a strength of Blue Lock that I never see discussed is that the like circumstances in which they are playing each other is very interesting and refreshing. It's not just a usual tournament arc where you got like, here's your set team, you're playing these teams, these other teams are playing each other in the process, where you can kind of predict like, here's going to be the finals. Yeah. So that's like very refreshing that like for the first half of the series of Blue Lock, it is kind of like round robin tournament arc where we're like, here are the 5 or 4 teams. These are the ones that are playing. We get to see them all. We get to see some familiar faces. Like we see Barrow, but I wasn't the king guy. See some really annoying gimmick characters like those twins. I fucking hate those twins.
They're so annoying.
They're so, like the eyebrows.
Like, I was like hoping like they would kind of go away. I wouldn't have to see them again. But then the other guy, like one of the twins did stay for a while. I'm like,
well, it's like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
So they do that. And then you get like Nagi and Rio who are like one of the more iconic non-main characters of the series. So you get introduced to like this cast of characters.
And then it gets you like comfortable with them. And then like, but then it leads to so many like upsets when it's like for example, the one guy in the Blue Lock team that you got used to that was like the
Team
nice.
Z? Are they Team Z?
Team Z?
Yeah, they're Team Z. That's the main guy. Those are the main guys.
The guy that like was like the caretaker again.
Kunan.
Yeah, with like his eyes closed. And then like it turns out like, oh, I actually hate all of you.
Yeah, because he had like some bad experience with his other team with like teamwork where like he was kind of abandoned. So he's like, fuck that. I'm never going to believe in the team. So then he like sabotages them with the other team. So he scores the goals and then he lets the other team just score on them.
But like once they bring that, like throw that wrench in and like break the status quo, I'm like, yes, let's go. Like that made it like that really changed things up. And then everything after that is like sort of breaking apart these like traditional like pairings or teams that you got used to. Cause it's like, you're trying to be the best striker. Like, like obviously there's not going to be a team here. You're trying to like break apart from the pack. You can't rely on them. Like, I'm like, okay, this makes sense as a progression.
Yeah. And then it's like they have, and then it also makes sense when they all kind of like figure out that like, even though they're all trying to be the best striker, they can't always be the striker. So they do kind of fit into other roles, even though they're all still trying to be as aggressive as possible in that regard. And then it's like, it was actually like a cool moment when like, he betrayed his team. They still somehow pulled through. Yeah. And then I think that's the episode with Chigiri kind of wakes up from, kind of snaps out of it.
Out of his leg, like.
Because he was like depressed.
Trauma over his injury.
Yeah, he was like traumatized for tearing his ACL. And then he was like just kind of ready for it's like, okay, now I'm done soccer. Like I gave it one more shot, now it's it. Yeah. But then he gets driven by Isagi popping off, and he's like, wait, I want that to be me.
Yeah.
So then he pops off and goes, and he kind of saves the team. And then it's cool that Kunan or whatever, the guy, the betrayer.
Yeah, I think it's Kunan.
Betrayer, Kun, whatever.
Judas.
Yeah. So he gets this, his team is like, fuck you. So they're playing the next match against the best group with down a player.
Yeah, they're like, we could do this without you.
They're like, fuck you. And then he comes in and he fouls someone to save the team. And you're like, the heroic sacrifice of getting a red card.
Yeah.
He died.
It's like, all right.
He died for our sins.
He redeemed
for
himself.
his sins.
Yeah, because then after that, you're like, oh, they're going to bring him back. And then they kind of don't. That was
Which is good.
Yeah, no, that was better. I'm like, okay, cool. They're not dragging them down. They have to all stick together. It's sort of like he did because I think after that he kind of quit soccer. He's kind of done.
I don't know if he got eliminated or not.
I think he got eliminated, but I think he also wasn't pursuing it anymore.
It gets kind of vague.
You never know.
It gets kind of vague.
Yeah,
we'll get into
talk
that.
about it.
Yeah.
But
and then that ends essentially the most tournament arc it gets.
And it also ends the whole the friendly introduction arc. We're all playing nice, and then after that's nah.
Okay. And that's when it gets to the second one, which is a very interesting setup. I think it might be. I'll say it might be the second. It's the most interesting setup in the anime.
I think I know what you're talking about, but you're gonna have to refresh me.
Okay, so this is where it's second half stuff. So they do the it gets the reveal that I think they were actually the only players there. There weren't teams A through whatever.
He lied to them.
Yeah, because he was
lied to them.
He's like, our country, everyone's comfortable. You guys need to feel how it felt to be the bottom of the barrel, thirsty, hunger for that, knowing that you're at the bottom, you have to fight your way up.
Yeah.
So that was his mindset of trying to get them that fighting for their next meal kind of vibe. Because it's also the food that they would get was dependent on if they won or lost, which was interesting.
Which is a cool system.
Yeah. So then they go into basic kind of drills, and it's whoever scores 100 goals first moves on to the next round quickly.
Yeah.
So then you're introduced to the actual top dudes who can score goals the quickest.
Yeah.
And you have to get a pair of team of 3, and then you do 3 versus 3.
That arc was good.
That's when I think it really clicked for me. That's when I was I'm here.
That's actually I think what I was trying to allude to, but I didn't exactly remember what the setup was. That when they started switching things up,
and that's the cool thing.
Splitting up the people that you thought were going to stick together.
Because you think is Team Z going to be it the whole time? They're not really focusing on half the team.
Yeah.
I don't know if I give a shit about them. And then you see the other characters who are obviously a bit more they get a bit more focus. They have a bit more talent. The Rio, the Nagi, the Barrow, all of these guys, they're obviously stars. Are we going to always be playing against them? Is that always going to be that?
And it also made you see the potential of combining these teams together and how they can make each other better, and not having to feel you're weighed down he's got to stick with the original team. Yeah. Because some people weren't developing as fast, and then you also felt maybe a little dragged down. Well, we have to wait for them to develop in order for them to get good. It's no, it's really about each individual's arc and who they're going to choose to get better. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead a bit too much, but when Isagi picked Rin to
team
up with at some point.
No, Rin picked him at the end.
Right, Rin picked him.
Yeah, but
I think Isagi did have some sort of a choice, or Isagi kind of did want to go with him.
Isagi wanted to play against Rin, who's top dog. So it's
right. Okay, that was the choice that he had to make, but he chose essentially in that scenario we probably don't have a chance, but this is what's best.
We need to do
for
that
me to get
develop.
better.
Yeah. So it is that interesting setup where it's they switch up the teams, which you don't really see that often in team sports anime series, because they're always you don't see them playing often against their own teammates, and you don't see them working with past opponent teammates. So it's I think it was ends up being the first group. It's Isagi, Bachara, but then Nagi chooses to go with them because he thinks that's how he's going to develop. And I wouldn't have expected that at the beginning of the series, that this other character who's presented as this rival antagonist, he's going to be playing with these guys now. And then they're going to play against Kunigami and Chigiri, the people who were on their team, and then they're gonna play against Rin and those teams because they pick the players as they progress, who they choose who's the strongest and build their own team. So it's a very interesting setup that leads to, as you said, interesting developments amongst people you wouldn't normally expect to see.
These combinations and these plays that couldn't have been possible before, and it it actually speeds up the development.
It
for some of
does,
them.
yeah. And it helps you focus like, okay, here are the main characters. These are the players.
Yeah.
These are the ones.
Here are the ones
on.
that we were already most interested in. Now we're getting to like see like who's interesting, and whoever was like the weaker one. Yeah. True, it helps you focus in like more on like whoever was kind of the weakest link and was sort of relying on the other team members to play off of. Now we're exploring that and seeing how on their own they're gonna end up falling back and getting eliminated. Like that one character, I forgot.
Nagihara or.
He had like brown hair and like
he
by himself he really couldn't do anything, and then he just kind of got cut.
First check. Time to find.
So many characters.
There's so many characters. I'm not
trying to remember.
I'm gonna find him.
Yeah, he was there. He was around. I mean, I think there's a point of why we forgot him. So
exactly. Forgetting that dude. Okay, I'm gonna find him. Keep going. I will find him.
Well, I was just gonna say like it was kind of you know.
Naruhaya.
Oh, yeah. And they gave you his whole backstory. And once they either give you his backstory, it's either he's going to get cut or he's going to stay. Yeah. And then it kind of would have felt, honestly, kind of like a drag of like, all right, we're going to keep him on. He's going to get better. He's not that interesting. Because some shows do that. And it's good. Sometimes it leads to good character development. But in this scenario, it's like, he's just not cut out for this. And I think the show is just trying to show that like he's just not going to make it. And that's kind of it. So
bye.
And it really came down, I think, also to the hunger though. They were trying to emphasize like how much you wanted it.
Yeah, and they also used naturally. They talk about devouring players, which is both incredibly gay.
Yes.
And also a euphemism for adapting to their play styles and learning from them. Yeah. Which is like so Isagi's able to devour.
But in the most homoerotic.
Yeah, the most homoerotic way.
Yeah. And so it only gets progressively more amped up.
Yeah. It lives up to the BL.
Yeah, BL.
So,
that is on purpose.
They did it on purpose. They knew what's up. So like,
if you like Blue Lock, you like BL.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hate to break it to you, the bearer of good bad news.
Didn't want this to be the podcast to let you know.
What? Yeah. So it's like Isagi's thing. It's like he devours players by learning their special moves and then putting the pieces together. And I do actually like the visual symbolism of like the puzzle pieces of him constantly like coming apart in puzzle pieces and then putting it back together.
Although it makes for some great memes, like out of context, the panels where he's just breaking apart into puzzle pieces.
Like, what's going on? Did I show you the one where
like how like players in the real world are like, what's Isagi doing? And meanwhile in his head it's just like a disaster of puzzle pieces breaking apart. I'm reinventing myself.
He literally is saying that to players. Like they're like, Isagi, what's going on? He's like, shh, I'm thinking.
I see the world. That's like when he first unlocked spatial awareness. It's like, whoa, I can see everything. And meanwhile, it's like, okay, you could use your peripherals better than most people. He's looking cool.
Wait, I love the one. Did I show you that one meme where it's like the traditional meme of like some guy standing there and it's like a puzzle piece for like the back of their head. Yeah. And it's like and the traditional meme is it's always like sometimes all it takes is like that one piece. But it's for him, it's like stand where people aren't looking. Yeah.
And the piece was like literally right behind his head, so you couldn't even see it.
It's like stand where they're not looking, or look where people aren't standing. But it's so funny because like this happens later, but like Isagi will be this like chuny ass player who's like naming all of his special powers, different things. But as you said, it's like he's like, I've got metavision, and it's like he's looking.
That's later on.
That's later on. Sorry to spoil that.
We'll talk about that.
But it's like he'll come up with this stuff, and it's like so you just look at the field where people aren't standing.
I can see you.
But the thing is, he'll go up to other players and he'll be like, wait, you have metavision? And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that was the greatest thing ever. It's like, oh, that's what you call it? It's like, what the fuck's that? You know?
And they're probably just being like,
and at that moment, you're like, full stop. Oh, right. He's the only one that's calling it because only you can hear his dialogue. Yeah. It's just like, you get the context. Like, oh, that is kind of weird.
And then he's like, you're overdosing on metavision. But it's like, you're just looking at too many things on the field.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it gets like. We're absolutely like crazy.
I feel like I was telling you this before. Like I was talking about it. I personally think like Blue Lock's philosophy that it like presents like the whole thing about like, you know, being the best, like individualism, all of that. Like it actually kind of like it makes sense. There's nothing like really wrong with it. Obviously, it's a team sport. You're gonna have to play on a team. You can't like that philosophy doesn't work all the way through. But at least what it's trying to cultivate like makes sense. But it's just that it presents it in such like an edgelordy, absurd way or ways like that where it makes something like small seem like this huge thing. Yeah. That like, you know, I think that's why like it gets flack.
And like even us enjoying it, we still have to give it flack because we take a step back and you're like, you're just looking at the field.
Yeah.
You're looking at and it's like works so well in context and it's presented really well.
Yeah, because it's hype when you're seeing it, but then you take a step back and you're like, yeah, this is
he's looking at the field.
He's looking at the field, but he's looking at it intensely. So
and gets a bit burnt out. Like, oh, too much going on. But that's like, it's like sometimes you just have to step back and laugh.
I think what Blue Lock does is just, it's like the perfect popcorn entertainment. Like it really, like I said already, like it brings the hype. It like, if you don't think too hard, if you don't take too many steps back, you know, it is such a good ride, you know, and that's like, I think, like I just had a really good time both watching it and reading it.
Yeah. I think it does maintain it.
And at some point, all the ridiculous stuff, all the stuff we're talking about that's absurd, just ended up becoming charming.
It does. I think it does have a charm to it that is like all the absurdity and ridiculousness where you're like, you know what, you see the meta vision and you're like, okay, that's a bit goofy when I think about it, but you still have fun with it in the moment. And you're like, you know what, this is it.
Like that's the intensity of Blue Lock. Like you could already tell by the main character. He's like, at some points when you see the other characters contrasted with him, you see like he's one of the only ones that's overly intense.
Yeah, like the other characters will comment that he's like fucking insane. Yeah. They'll be like, no one's as insane as Asagi on this shit.
Yeah.
And then I like that too. I like it too, but I think it's interesting when you look back at how much there's so much craziness going on that I do think it's one of the least kind of predictable series because it's doing so much crazy stuff that like, I don't know about you. I'm going to spoil the anime at this point.
Are we going to?
I'm going to spoil it.
Go for it.
You know, it's the last match of the anime. It is, so it's like Asagi's dream team. It's like Asagi, Nagi. Why are all these names? So Asagi, Nagi, Jigiri, and Barrow, which is like a very strong team.
That team was crazy.
That was cool. One of my favorite teams. Yeah. That was like
that was like the team of goats, just all in one place.
All have different skills, different skill sets.
That don't work together.
They don't work, but they work. They got.
Well, at least not Barrow with
Barrow. Everyone except Barrow is there. Yeah. Is that the one with I Wasn't the King, or is that the next man?
No, that's later.
No, I think I Wasn't the King was that match.
Oh, was it?
I think that was I Wasn't the King.
Oh, you're right, because they couldn't get him to
pass the fucking ball.
And then he just doubled down. And he's like, I'm still not doing it. I'm going to do it my way.
Not passing aggressively. Yeah. So that's the I Wasn't the King match. And they're playing Rin, the annoying wimpy dude who's still strong, and then the hair guy. I don't care about them. You don't need to really know. Like, whatever. They're fine.
Oh, is that the
flouncy guy? And then they also had... what's it? Bachira.
Yeah.
So that's also Bachira, like thinking of like, oh, I'm finally having fun. I don't need the monster anymore. Or whatever. Yeah. So that was a good match. I don't know if you were in the same boat. It was 4. I think it was like 5 goals to determine it.
Yes.
So I'm like
it was like 3 or 5, something like a very low amount.
Yeah, it was like 5 goals and determines. It was 4-4. I'm like, okay, Asagi's team is gonna win it. Yeah. They're gonna fucking do it. Like they're just gonna do it, and they're gonna take Bachira back because that was the goal of this whole thing. I'm like, the squad is back, and they pull off this like ridiculous ass play. Everyone's like firing at all cylinders. Yeah. Asagi is unlocking more puzzle pieces.
It's like the final minute that drags on forever. Yeah. It's just crazy.
It goes crazy. And I think the ball gets deflected while scoring and it lands like right in front of Rin and then he scores. And they talk about it as like, what the fuck happened? So like Rin's team wins. I didn't see that coming. Yeah. But then they're all like reflecting on it. And Asagi's like, I did everything perfect. What the fuck happened? And Rin is like, you intellectually and strategically defeated me. So they pick Asagi. And Rin is frustrated because he's like, top dog, I should be killing everyone nonstop.
Like he didn't like that he got it almost on a fluke.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's when they talk about it was luck, but they talk about luck in terms of like luck comes to you when you're doing everything right. You're foreseeing what your opponent is doing. You're taking everything into consideration. Like you have to be perfect to benefit from luck.
For when luck comes, you're ready to take it.
And that's what happened is like he knew Asagi was going to be in that spot. So he was already reacting to that as if that would happen. Yeah. So it was an interesting idea. And I didn't see Isagi's team losing coming. I didn't see it coming at all.
What I liked also about that development, like besides not seeing it coming, is that they didn't get Bachiro back as planned. Like it's just like cool. So we're still like committing to this. Like we're not going to have the OGs back together. They're going to kind of do their own thing. Yeah. You know? Like it's disappointing. Like they're not going to be back together, like playing together. But this is also kind of good for them.
Exactly. So and it's an interesting, frustrating loss for everyone in their own way. Yeah. And then by then it's like pretty much next arc time. So but. And then they reveal like everyone who's made it to like the final phase. They did it. And of course, one of the characters I liked just didn't make it, Kunigami, who I've been calling Blue Lock Ichigo because he looks like Ichigo.
People were so disappointed because it's just like he's such a one of the genuinely like good guys,
who was also talented,
reliable,
he
jacked. Like he was like the superhero, like he was the hero.
Yeah,
he had like good ideals.
People.
Like he was actually one of the few people that was like trying to uplift his teammates, and it's just like you just didn't want him to go. I was like, oh man, that's so sad.
I felt very sad because even if he wasn't getting as much like screen time as everyone else, I was like, no, I like him.
Like you wanted him to rise up the ranks like by himself and see him eventually. Because I think like what was it that Isagi did not like pick him at one point, or it was just more?
No, it was like him. So it was like Isagi played Chigiri, Rio, and Kunigami, and then Rio and Kunigami got delegated, and then someone else picked Rio and not him. So he didn't get chosen, and it was very sad. And like, no, we're sad. But then, but you get the hint at the end of the season that they have like this wild card door, and he's going towards it. So
I don't even think I was paying attention because later on that came back and I was like, now I know what they meant by that.
Yeah. Okay. So for anime stuff, we are going to touch upon some things in the manga, but like we're getting into spoil territory now.
Let's finish off, I guess, the anime. Where does the anime end? The anime ends off at the start of a new arc.
Yes.
It's there. And this is what I actually really started even enjoying. Like, I love that Blue Lock, it felt from the beginning like it would be predictable. Like, it would be like this training camp. They're going to get better and then hit the world stage, and that's it. Like, I didn't think there was going to be all these twists and turns, interesting developments, like switch ups on teams. Like, you kind of thought you knew where it was going to go the whole time. But then to do this, like, cool stuff that, like, we just talked about, to then have them face, like, one of the top because
they played
players.
They played like 5 like superstars.
Yeah, and that was the end of the anime.
Yeah,
because they had that match with them, and it ended there.
Yeah,
leading into the next arc. But to play one of the 5 like superstars, like I'm like, oh shit, they're already like in a way facing the world already. Yeah, like I thought like it wasn't gonna commit to getting to this level this soon, and that made it exciting. It's like, okay, like now you can actually see how this training, how they stack up against them. Yeah, and they weren't shit, but that was also like.
It was interesting.
It was good, because they got like owned, but then it also like opened the door to like, okay, there's gonna be more of this, and this is what led to like the next arc, which was in the manga,
which we will get to because now we got to cut it. We got to cut it off. So this is like everything else moving forward, manga time.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about manga spoilers. We're gonna get all the way up to like pretty much the latest arc. I don't know if like the latest chapter, but the latest arc that they're on. As much as like pretty much as many thoughts as we have on it.
Yeah, no turning back from here.
Yeah, this is it. Definitely read it if you haven't.
Yeah, read it. Would recommend.
I normally like to wait. Like I try to wait, but with this, I was just like, nah.
No, we're going in.
I need to know. And it was, So, and the greatest thing actually about, because a lot of the big worry, for me at least, of like transitioning from an anime to a manga is like, it's not gonna be the same. You don't get the voice acting, the art. Yeah. You're worried about that transition. You're not going to get the same feel, the same hype, but it was seamless.
It's very seamless.
The manga art is so good.
It's impeccable.
That I felt like nothing was lost. I think
it's probably
immersed.
Better executed as a manga than an anime. Might say that.
I think so.
Because the anime looks pretty good.
Did a decent job.
Yeah.
Like I think it got you into it. And it makes you want to read the manga. Yeah. Like I didn't have any gripes with it. I was like, I had a good time. But then you experience the manga and you're like, you know what?
I'm ready.
I didn't miss out on anything. Like it's all here.
That's exactly how I feel. And I think it's, very seamless, very easy to follow, very detailed. It just looks really great.
Some panels go so hard.
They go ridiculously hard. I have a lot saved on my phone. I'm like, damn. I was like looking at it for a good minute. I'm like,
while you're reading, you're kind of like flipping through fast and you don't notice. But when you just see like the one panel, like out of context,
the spreads where you're like, they popped off.
Yeah,
they went on.
Like just on Metavision, just like
like the way they'll show like Isagi
or Isagi's existential crisis, whatever.
Whenever you see some puzzle pieces going, you're gonna see an awesome spread. Yeah. Like some shit's going down.
Or once he says like some ridiculously chuny or edgelordy shit, like it's followed by like some like hard like art, like
it goes.
That's
hard.
Just It's like, I'm gonna be the best, or like, you're a fucking clown. Who do you think you are?
How does it feel to be the clown of my story?
Yeah.
Okay, these are like also, all of these are like some of the funniest panels I've read. Yeah. Unintentionally or intentionally, but I've been like dying.
I have heard, because there are some points where the dialogue did take me out and I'd be like, no fucking way. Yeah. And then I did find out like the translations, it's just how they were translated to be a little more edgy, but some of them are actually pretty accurate. Like it's pretty close.
So it's not, so we can't blame it all on the translation. Sometimes they just really be like that.
The translations like purposely like or unpurposely, whatever. They amp them up a bit, but like
But
a
that's
lot of
fitting
it
for Blue Lock.
Yeah, no, it works really
works.
well. But going on to this, so that was like a seamless transition, getting into the manga and then going into that next arc,
which is probably the peak of the series for me.
Yeah.
So far is the U12-20 arc.
Oh, yeah.
So for everyone's context,
Absolutely.
It's for quick refresh. It's Blue Lock is under financial strain because the guy in charge kept paying for all this stuff, and Japan's like, we don't see the return on investment. What the fuck are you doing?
Well, he was paying for all these superstars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's paying for all this, and it helps. So it's finally time, which is the true final boss for the short term is Japan's mindset versus Blue Lock mindset.
Yeah.
So they say, okay, I'm going to take my best Blue Lock people, and we're going to have them play the current Japan under 20 team.
It's like, who's the final boss? Our investors.
Japan, the big wigs, and everyone can agree. Where it's like, yeah, fuck the admin, fuck them, yeah.
Yeah, and then Ego himself is like, oh no, they don't know. Like, we're trying to help Japan, but they also don't know what's fucking good for them.
He is,
like,
yeah. He's like
they're dumb, they're idiots. Like, we need to show them.
Yeah, because he'll always roll up in these like investor shareholder meetings. He'll be like, how good did Japan do in the last World Cup? Bad? I thought so. I will save the team.
Like, he pulls out all the receipts, and then the guys, they just say quietly, like, oh, okay,
like,
you know what you're doing, Ego.
Yeah.
But
so
they had enough, and they wanted him to, like, really make good on his promise. So
yeah, so it's time, Blue Lock mindset versus Japan U20, so like best under 20 players of Japan. But the twist is they bring back the current best player in Japan, which is Rin's brother, who is already so good. He's playing international. He's in some like European club. He's so much better than everyone, but he's like, I want to see what's up. I want to see what's going on with this Blue Lock bullshit. I'm going to go play with the U20 team.
And what's crazy, it's also crazy about that on two fronts, is that Rin was already like top dog in Blue Lock. He's like ridiculously good.
Yeah.
Itoshi Sae is like next level. So
Yeah.
it's like, they're going to be facing this guy. Like that's already fucked. And then two, he's the whole motivation for Rin's backstory.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everything is centered on him. So Rin, who was kind of like apathetic, like he's all in now.
He's really like, he's angry. He's hyper focused.
Like his anti-hero starts coming out at this point.
Yeah,
like
he's tilted. He's ready. So, and then they actually they rip the Band-Aid off for Blue Lock, and they assign teams positions that are not strikers. But it's kind of revealed that like after analyzing everyone that Ego was taking into consideration, like, okay, you will be good at this position. You'll be this good defender. Like, you're good at this stuff.
Yeah.
So like, even when people were trying to be that striker, he's like, okay, no, but you can actually play this position well. And people do actually fit into those positions really well.
Because that's what I feel like Blue Lock was doing, at least like Ego's like long-term plan.
Yeah.
It's all like, you know what, like phase one, breaking them out of the like conformist like sort of mindset, and then like specializing. You know, it's
definitely.
like you have to kind of do the extreme and then slowly gear them towards the other thing that they're actually like kind of good at.
Yeah. So like they show one of the players who's on the Z team who's like this long, like really tall, like flexible dude who was good at like defending.
Yeah.
He's the goalie. They got one of the other people who had very good like spatial awareness that he's one of the defenders. And you're like, okay, that makes sense. They were kind of building up to this.
Yeah.
I forget some of the other players, but it's like
Like
also,
Gagamaru is always a goallie.
Yeah, he's always
like
gonna
he's
be the
been
goalie.
sentenced to goalie, but he's so good at it.
He's good at it.
His
and
reflexes.
And it means he gets to play on this high high stakes match.
And he also, because he's kind of like a joke character, like he never like really seemed too serious about like being a striker. He's just kind of happy
there.
to be there.
Just happy to be there.
Yeah.
And then they have like, so, and then it's got the usual suspects. You got like the Nagi, the Rio, I think it was on the backup team, but he ends up being like a good defender or whatever. Asagi, of course, Chigiri. Bachira, I think, is like, I don't know the positions, or like a wing like, defender dude. Sorry. And then, so you got all the usual suspects coming out to play. Yeah. And then, and then they have the match. It's essentially like, how do they do against the Japan team? And at least it's like the craziest, most batshit match that I think the game has had so far.
It was actually pretty long.
It was pretty long.
And I wasn't like upset about it. It just went on for a while. I think you start at 90 and it doesn't end till 150.
Yeah, that sounds
long.
about right. Yeah.
But it was full of hype moments, like down to the last few chapters.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because like just seeing everyone just going in.
Yeah, because you also just like don't really know what are they going to do. Like you don't know who will score the goal, which is half of the battle. And then you don't know who will like what the counter is going to be. You don't know what's going to happen.
Well, and also they don't know how to work as a team.
Yeah.
So there's at some point where like U20 already has this mindset. They've got it down on how to work as like mostly like a team, where these guys were like, we're all striker mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like I said, like you said earlier, blue lock mindset versus U20. So there is something about that does work, but then at some points it bites them in the ass because they don't know how to like
and they
work
acknowledge
together.
it. Because I think one of the first thing Ego was saying is like, you guys will not be as good as a team of them, but you guys will score more goals, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, they were like, you're all offense.
All offense, all the time. And what's, at least there's some interesting stuff. We also get the, I have to look up his name.
I actually love how they shit on the U20 team striker so much.
Because he was like their ace striker, and it's like, actually, no, you're trash, because we got Itoshi Sei.
Yeah.
Here, also, you just suck, and like,
get out.
You're just not doing shit. Like, you just suck. I have to look up possibly the star of the match, for better or worse. Shido, looking like a strawberry creamsicle coloring with like the weird like blonde and then the pink.
I was thankful for the manga that I didn't have to see his color design like in the anime, because you do see him at the end briefly in the anime. I'm like, I don't have to be subjected to that.
This is one of the most designs of all time. It's like I'm not really like good with color theory sometimes, but I know this ain't it.
Yeah, it's definitely. I don't think you need to be an expert
like
to know it's not it.
I just look at. I'm like. And also, I'm very excited. My favorite voice actor is voicing him, so we're gonna hear some shit.
I can't wait for him to narrate that line that you get in those panels in the U20.
Yeah. So it's like
the fertilization stuff.
Do we explain it? So it's like you have all these stupid motivations that are like normal of like, I want to play soccer because I was always good at it. It makes me happy. I want to take down my brother. You get this fucking dude who's like, we need to like my contribution to humanity and prolonging my life and like leaving my mark on the world is playing soccer. So he
likens soccer to sex and to like fertilizing, to making an egg.
Procreating.
He calls like the soccer ball like a seed and like the goal like going into the womb. Like he just makes it a whole thing while he's hitting on Hitoshi Sai.
he like straight up hits on him. He's like, give me
your number afterwards.
He'll score this. Yeah, we move in together. Like just straight up hitting on him.
Yeah, and I feel like this is where like the part of Blue Lock just started leaning more overtly into like the BL stuff.
This is probably like gayer than most gay manga.
Yeah.
This is as gay as it gets.
Yeah.
I gotta find the thing.
While still being really absurd, because the whole fertilization thing was like
I have to
really absurd.
They present this is over like 6 pages of like them describing this philosophy. Did I find it?
And strangely enough, though,
no, I did find the puzzle piece thing.
Like that's so funny. Sometimes what a person needs is just one piece,
and
just stand where they aren't looking.
It's just like
just look to your left.
The Blue Lock sub goes hard. Let me find it.
Strangely enough, though, that whole thing with Shido did not take me out of it.
So that one, you're like, this is normal.
This is still all right. There was another thing later in U20.
Did I delete it?
That took me out.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that because that was when I did. I also like. Here's like my favorite like sanest Shido moment is Shido. So the way they like set up their team is they're like, okay, the only people who could score goals against the 5 best players in the world were Rin and Shido. They scored 1 goal against the best players. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to center our team around both of them because they're the best players here. Shido and Rin don't get along. They don't like passing to each other. They have like completely different philosophies or whatever, but they're both ridiculously good.
Yeah.
So Shido starts fighting Rin on the field, and they like electrocute him from the top, and then they put him in like the fucking Hannibal Lecter mask jail thing, and you're like,
because they're describing him as like the demon, like
he's like an unferal person, and it's like, what the fuck? How did they have this like random room where they just lock people up? Like that wasn't presented before. Like they're just literally in jail.
Yeah, it did also come off a little sexual.
Well, it's like and then so that was ridiculous. Did I see?
And then the craziest thing is that like Ego had planned, like he traded him out to the U20 team.
Yes, because they wanted. Yeah, I forget what their reason was.
I forgot the reason was, but they couldn't have him on, or they needed another player, and they just put him on the other team, and that was just like Oh no, the chaos.
Yeah, the chaos. So he's playing for the enemy, essentially.
And he's really good. So
he's
that
really
was just
good.
like...
Because while he's narrating about impregnating the womb, he's scoring a goal from halfway up the field,
well,
which
he
is
also
ridiculous.
Plays better with Rin's brother. Like, he actually has more of a better, like, chemistry with Rin's brother. Like, what do they call it? Chemical reaction.
Chemical reaction.
He has
That's
better
a good way
chemical
to put
reaction.
It. They have literal chemistry.
Yeah.
They literal chemistries, yeah.
Like, they just, for some reason, jive together. And that is, like, such a huge disruptor for how the match was going. It's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, this might be, like, one of my sneaky favorite parts out of all the ridiculousness, is when it's, like, halftime, and they're all, like, you know, because Ego is, like, running this, but he's not a coach. He's not coaching these guys at all. He's not giving them like no mid-game adjustments, none of that. He's talking to them, and Asagi is like dead set, like, how can we come back from this? And Ego was like, well, this is how we're doing against the U20 team. Shido came from Blue Lock. He's doing amazing. Blue Lock technically already won.
Yeah.
You guys, and because the whole time they're presenting, it's like, if we fail at Blue Lock, we're going to fail at the Worlds. He's like, you know.
He's like, I already met my agenda. We're good.
I met my goal.
We got the quota.
You guys will all go on to be amazing players because you've done a great job showcasing yourself. This is a huge stake match. Some people will go play for the U20. Some people could be playing smart.
He basically was like, we presented you to the world stage. Now the world knows you.
So we won.
Yeah.
But that's not enough for Isagi because he's like, no, we need to win the match. And so Isagi goes like beast crazy mode.
Yeah.
And I think that's when they sub Barrow in. Like, but so it's like interesting to hear that like even if Blue Lock got any success in any capacity, they already won because they proved that they could overcome the traditional Japanese mindset that the U20 had.
Yeah, and show it to the world stage that it does work against the U20. And it was because they got enough goals on them to be like, oh shit, like this wasn't just...
And the person scoring against them came from Blue Lock.
Yeah.
So it's like...
either way. So it worked out for him.
For Blue
That's
Lock.
why like when he sent Shido at first, you're like, why? What the fuck? But then it's like, this works for Ego's overall plan, which is promoting the program.
Yeah, and Ego still wants to win, but Ego is focused on the Blue Lock
Well, he was also in a way subtly like challenging them to see if they had the drive, like sort of reverse psychology to see if they would want to win. Like he still won, but it's also like a test to see if like they still want it.
And I kind of like that as like a nice reminder of reality that like if you get kicked out of Blue Lock, your life isn't actually over. It just means you're not on that same level of stage of showcasing yourself to get to that next level. So that was kind of a cool reality check. Like sometimes we get the bad reality checks with the dialogue or the over the topness, but that was a nice reality check of like, you guys are already looking amazing. Yeah. You guys can just go up from here.
Well, it's actually also even like on a bigger like level, on a macro level of what he did to them earlier when he was like, hey, you guys were actually the only teams, where it's like he has to have that in that hunger starvation mindset to think it's all life or death. Like this is it. Everything's riding on this in order to make them play to their best. Because if they already knew like, oh, you're still going to be good, they wouldn't have played as good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that leads to like, could break down the cringe. This is Blue Lock in a nutshell, is some of the cringiest panels you've seen in your life followed up by the hypest thing you've also seen in your life. Like the whiplash I get from like, I want to die to let's fucking go. We're so back.
I think, I don't know if this was back to back, but for me, you want to go with what your whiplash was?
We're talking about, of course, it's by the end. So,
okay. So for me, it was, I went from, I don't know if this came first or this came after, but I went from like, the fucking scene where they brought Barrow in the U20 match and he scored the fucking goal and then he rips his shirt off and the lion comes out. I'm like, yo! Like, I was like, okay, like, you know,
and then he gets a yellow card.
No, but it was fucking worth it. He was like, actually, no, that was really funny. Then he just took off his shirt, like, yellow card. And like, all right, well, worth it.
Yeah.
That was also like really funny, but it was just like, yo, this is so hype. Like whoever thought I'd be hyped for this guy.
Yeah, right.
And then to, I think after is the Rin thing where because everybody in that arc is awakening, like left and right. Like you thought it was exclusive to Asagi, but like, no. Everyone, like.
They're popping the fuck off. Yeah. They're going off. Like, this is hype.
They're awakening. And then Rin awakens.
And like, I don't know if I feel conflicted about this because he's always presented as like the cool, calm, collected character. And they just kind of, and I kind of like when cool, calm, collected characters lose their shit a bit.
Yeah.
Not like this.
No.
I think this is when I was like, okay, I want to die.
This was dumb.
This was dumb.
The way it was presented was just.
Because they describe his brothers playing soccer as like beautiful, graceful. And his is just like, they're like, okay, he's awakened like this like ugly, disgusting way of playing where it's like his eyes get all blacked out and his like tongue is hanging out of his mouth nonstop. And like everything he does, it's like, looks disgusting.
But like whether you read it, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, basically, it's basically like he doesn't have his tongue out like in a cool way.
No,
He's like, yeah, like let's do this. Like he
even
literally
like,
he's drooling.
Yeah, he's like drooling on himself.
Slobbering over himself. Like he like his mind is checked out. Like there's nothing there. Yeah. He's like a zombie.
Yeah.
Essentially. And he's moving like a zombie. And
he's running around, he's like, kill.
Yeah. He's like, kill. Hate everything, ugly, destroy. Yeah. You know, you just see all of his like intense monologue in his head.
And then it's like him going like toe to toe with his brother. And like it should be really hype because it's drawn immaculately. Yeah. It's very high stake. It's essentially the last possession of the game. So we know it's game time. Like so it's either win or lose here. But like it's so like I don't know.
It made me want to stop reading.
Me
like,
too.
Like
it
what
was
is like is it anti-hype? Like is it a de-hype? Like it went like it built up all this hype and then it got to that and I'm like, okay, they're probably gonna win the game with this, but I'm like it's not as hyped.
Well, I think it's like you take a look at all of the other characters awakening and like they look cooler when they're awakening. Yeah. When he awakens, I'm like, no, let's go back. Let's not awaken. No, let's go back to sleep. Yeah,
please, let's go. You were better before. Because like I think the thing is, and I think this is strange to say, because we've already like gone over like Blue Lock leans into its ridiculousness. It makes it its strength. Its absurdity is part of its charm. All of this, yada, yada. But in that moment, I felt like that's not realistic. Like, I just felt like it took me too out. Like, where this is just like, this is too much.
Well, it's like, I think the way...
And I don't even know if it's fair to say that because it's not trying to be realistic, so I know that.
Yeah. But no, it like took me out completely. I was like, this is too far. I think this looks gross. I'm cringing. We have already we've gotten past the embryo. We've gotten post-embryo.
Like, we were okay. We were still
okay
intact
with the
after
embryo.
that.
We're like, okay, this is ridiculous, but this one character
This is just Blue Lock being gay. It's kind.
But it's kind of, you know, he's just making moves, whatever. Yeah. But like this one, I think it's just both the character himself, who's always been presented as like the cool, confident guy, and then seeing him kind of go into the zone that is like, it's not even like making him less cool, but it's also just like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. I just don't really know what the impression is they're going for. I'm guessing they're trying to go for like this feral guy who's like the exact opposite of his brother. But I can't imagine him in this state being a better soccer player than how he was before.
Because there's a way to do feral that's like interesting.
I mean, you think of how many anime rage scenes. Yeah. Like we got Guts rage scenes, we gone, all of these
any berserker scene, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. This wasn't a berserker as much as just like,
And before, we just saw the barrow going off and it's like, you get the impression of like a lion and then he tears his shirt off. Like everything about that is cool. Yeah. You're like, he's popping off. He's doing good. You see the same thing with like Nagi. He's like glowing different colors and he's doing some batshit crazy like ball handling move and it goes off and it's cool. Yeah. Like everything, that's the whole thing that Blue Lock relies on is the ridiculousness being cool.
Yeah, it still has that payoff of being cool.
And I don't think this was cool.
I think and also like for anyone that like maybe disagrees, like
we would like to hear that.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think we get the intent behind it. We get what it's supposed to convey. You know, his brother has this pristine, precise, calculating style that's beautiful, that Rin finds beautiful. And this is a rejection completely of that. This is taking it completely in the other direction, spitting on it, like leaning into it. But that's the intent. But it's the execution that leaves it lacking.
It's either too extreme, maybe not extreme enough, or they could have gone for that exact vibe in a different way that still made him look cool while playing. Yeah. That didn't make us cringe.
Like, it I don't know. I never really liked Rin too much. Like
I was cool with him before as that role of like that stable, cool
an asshole.
Guy.
For no reason.
They're all assholes.
Nah, but he wasn't like...
Barrow won't pass the ball.
But he's still cool.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing is I was down with Rin as the like stable, like when he's talking with Asagi where like him and Asagi like get each other and Asagi's getting like nervous or overwhelmed and he's like, Asagi like, he's like, hey, what are you getting nervous at? Look at me. I'm going to carry this team. That's Blue Lock coolness. That's where I'm like, okay, you're the dude who's confident and determined enough to lead the team. So like, I'm down with him in that role. But when he goes full like, I don't know, like fucking zombie feral mode.
No, I definitely agree with that. It just made me like, like him less.
It made me like him less too, but I liked him before.
I was like, there's nothing like nice about Rin, but whatever. He's there. But then he did that, and I'm like, okay.
Like, and we'll see where you end up on this road. Whatever.
Yeah. So, like I don't want this. I don't want this to be a reoccurring thing. Rin. You know, I kind of want this to be like, all right, this was your base mode, like to unlocking that, but it's gonna get refined over time.
Get better next time.
It's not like every time.
But what's so jarring is we got all this like shit with Rin, where we're both having a chemical reaction of a different kind when we see that. We're like, okay, fuck this, and then immediately the next panel is Asagi stealing the ball and scoring the winning goal. Yeah. And it's presented in the coolest way possible, because they bring back that that luck puzzle piece that they had in the other thing that was kind of established as something of like everyone's functioning at their highest, you're functioning at your highest, you're believing in your team, you're seeing it, and he predicted Rin getting the ball and like him getting it from his brother, succeeding, and then he was in the right spot and he scored the goal. And these are like these spreads that are in this chapter are like some of the best manga art I've seen. It looks ridiculously good, but we go from like cringing over this to like we won. We're
actually doing this. Like I can forgive that.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, and it also like it's good that you bring that, because not just in this arc, but in many of the arcs, it has these like the clutchest moments. Where they're like passing the ball. Rin or Isagi or someone comes out of nowhere to grab the ball, like, yo, no, oh shit, he had it. But then someone else comes out and grabs it, and like you don't know where it's gonna land, where it's gonna go. And sometimes they get it, but like it kind of made you doubt yourself. Like it trained you to doubt yourself so much that you didn't even know if Isagi at this point was gonna pull it off.
And it's good because they have so many moving parts, so it's like you lose track.
You're like, oh no, but is Rin or whoever gonna come out, he gonna predict it? Like, oh, I have metavision. What's up?
Yeah.
I predicted you predicting my move, predicting my move. I'm right here, bitch.
That's the next arc.
We're gonna get into that. But that was like, because it did that, that's why that moment like was able to redeem everything.
And that's why it's still like the hypest part of it, where we're like, we're here, we're vibing, we're here. And then they win, everyone's excited, and Isagi is now the star of Japan.
Yeah.
And it worked out, and it's a great arc. It's one of the best arcs I've seen in sports.
I think so.
Like it's one of the hypes.
I feel like Blue Lock, I think for both of us, left us thinking like, we have this score for Blue Lock, but
do we like it more?
Because we know it's not like, because we know like in the back of our minds, like it's not great. Well, but then if we're enjoying it this much, isn't that great?
It's
like,
not traditional.
That's what makes it great. Like,
traditional good writing, great, but also good in its own way. And that's what it's setting up for. It's good at executing what it wants to do, just choking on Blue Lock. Just like choking over Blue Lock. So it's great at what it's setting out to do, which I think is good writing.
Yeah.
If this is what it's going for and it's executing that well, then it's good.
Yeah. Because if it's intentionally doing it, it knows what it is. And it's doing it well, and it's making you excited. Like, why not?
And that's what it's going for. It's not going for grounded.
Yeah.
So
it's going for very ungrounded.
Yeah.
Very unhinged.
Very unhinged. So.
Do we want to talk about the next arc?
Yeah, we can briefly mention.
Yeah.
So.
Because it's not finished yet, right? Because that's the next arc that's still ongoing.
Yeah. I don't know if you felt like this, but I felt like if they wanted to end Blue Lock after
they could have ended it.
They could have ended it there. So we're kind of in like a reset where we're like we're now.
I feel like it's an epilogue. No, well, it's not. No, it's not
like
an epilogue. It is a part 2.
It's kind of like a Chainsaw Man part 2.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, we figured that prove Blue Lock to the world.
Yeah.
Program
like that's
saved.
the end of the initial Blue Lock
saga.
Goal, where now it needs to sort of reinvent like what they're doing.
So now they have Blue Lock for the world, which is like this incentivized program where they have each team. They have 5 different like European football leagues.
Yeah.
Or like clubs.
Right, yeah. They have the different clubs from each country.
Each country, they have their star
Germany, Italy, all of them.
Yeah, so all the star players that people will choose what team to go on and try and work to be with both those like junior team program players from like international players.
With the mentors of those clubs that they're in being the star players from the actual adult team.
And then they stream it to everyone. So it's like a big marketing business program. They're streaming it to everyone. And after each match, clubs from around the world can bid on how much they would pay for each player. Yeah. So it really brings in that real world of like, you were playing for an international audience. This is how much another team would pay to have you be on their team.
Yeah, and if you don't know anything about soccer or like whatever, because I didn't know much, like it's interesting. I don't know how accurate it is, but I'm pretty sure to some level it is.
Yeah.
To see how that's how it works. Like the player, you're playing in the club, and this is how much you're valued based on like the moves you make and how you play.
And they don't get crazy because it's always in yen, so you have to go back. So it's like if a player does really well and they're in like the top 10 or whatever,
do the conversion.
They'll be like 5 million, which is nothing for football programs. Yeah. But that's huge for Japan. 5 million US dollars.
Because they're now playing on the global level, so
exactly.
It's they're bringing that home.
And that's what's make it interesting is we do feel like we're on that next scale, next stage. So then they bring in a bunch of new players. They bring back the Noah Noel.
Yeah.
He's presented as like the Blue Lock best player character who Asagi's always looked up to. And so he's the head of like the German team that Asagi ends up joining. The whole team gets split up again. Yeah. So.
And it's crazy how like they get to play with these mentors that, again, I never thought Blue Lock would make it to this level.
Yeah.
And that's kind of insane. What's insane is that they can get to this level and still make it interesting. Because usually when you get to this level, it's all right, that the story's done.
Yeah.
Like they're already pros, but no, here there's still more to learn. There's still more to refine.
And I think it's cool, these circumstances in which they have the players play against each other are possibly the most interesting aspect of Blue Lock for me.
Yeah.
Because we're in another weird kind of a round robin situation. Yeah. Also kind of like the beginning of the story where we have these set teams and then they play against each other.
And then they're also having the chemical reactions with this new team set up, and new rivals.
And then they have the mentors come in and play against each other. And it's always cool to see the mentors play against each other.
Yeah. And that's actually a cool dynamic that Ego set up. Actually a cool gimmick or like slash function where it's like you tap in like the star player, you get him for like a minute, which keeps it balanced. But he has like that minute to wreak havoc and turn the tides, and he comes out and then it's still on the team to kind of pick it up. So,
and normally the two mentors will come in at the same time and they'll go at each other.
And then they have their history with each other and they're like, what's up, bitch? What's up?
You were the top player and I was number 2. But
it's like,
now
I've always beaten you, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's always interesting.
And what's interesting is each country's club has their own play philosophy.
Yeah.
So it's not even just like Blue Lock style. It's like you have one team that's like known for being great defenders. The other one is great on teamwork, always passing the ball. The other one is like that striker heavy one. You just see like totally different philosophies presented.
And how it works for like each of the players that pick that club. And you're excited to see like, oh, how is this philosophy going to bring out more of their abilities? You know, like for Bachira, like where he chose, it was like perfect for him.
He chose the Spain one, right?
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
All about like passing.
Known for the playful like style, freedom, like freedom loving, like free spirited, free play kind of style. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect for him, like dribbling and all that stuff. And then you see his game improve, and then you're excited to see them match up against each other and see like, okay, now where they're at, and then that motivates them to like want to level up. So
that's presented interesting stuff. I think we have. So Isagi chose the German team, which is essentially Blue Lock 2.0, where they just steal the ball from each other and shit. I don't even know if that's accurate for German teams in real life, but I'm not gonna bank on that.
Nope.
But so they do that, and then he has a new rival. What's his name? Like Michael.
Kaiser.
Yeah,
he's Kaiser.
Always
he's the king.
Kaiser. He's kind of he's the new asshole on the block.
Yeah.
And then so Isagi also has as we foreshadowed, Kunigami is back.
Kunigami is back.
Out of the cringe containment.
In the most edgelordy way.
He's like, I'm not a hero anymore. I'm just
I hate everyone. I'm going to be the best. I'm like, okay, man.
Okay, bestie.
Like,
whatever.
literally, like, they gave him, like, the black eyes. Like, he's literally seen hell. Like, I don't know. Like,
I hope they explore that, because what the fuck did they just do?
I don't know. I feel like they tortured him or something. Like, they put him in the torture chamber.
I think they probably had some, like, fight to the death over soccer thing, and he came out, but he had to sacrifice everything.
Yeah, but like they made him feel like he had to kill his puppy. Like it's seriously like he went dark. Like his whole philosophy is completely changed. Like everyone abandoned me. I'm all for myself now.
Because their thing was they're like, we're gonna try and recreate Noah Noel.
Yeah,
and this is the byproduct.
Yeah, which was interesting, and it was interesting to find out that Ego used to be Noah Noel's teammate.
Yeah, that's wild. I hope we see. What does it mean? What does it mean?
And then he was likened to Isagi. Ego is likened to Isagi.
Yeah, I see it. They're the same.
Or Isagi was likened to Ego. I was like, oh,
they're the same.
Sense. The metavision, the calculations. He's a sports head.
He's gonna go on and to be the next Ego, but like worse.
I think he's just not gonna like the twist. The end of Blue Lock is gonna be like Isagi doesn't make it, and he just ends up being the next Ego.
He just gets insane. Goes insane.
Yeah, I think Blue Lock is actually, if you look at it another way, it's the slow progression of making Isagi more and more insane. Yeah. Like he's the one out of everyone who has bought into the philosophy wholesale. Like actually, like drank the Kool-Aid the most. And it's slowly just
poisoning him.
Where everyone else awakens, develops a healthy mindset. Oh, yeah, we're good. Isagi, nah, man.
It's not enough to win. I must destroy you all. Like that kind of crazy shit.
Yeah.
And it's so
You're
funny.
You're the clown to my story.
Wait, I've used that like as a reaction to someone like 10 times.
I couldn't believe he said that. Like it was super hype.
I gotta find it.
But yeah, it was like.
Yeah, where did it go? This is so funny. I have all of these saved on my phone. This is so bad. Yeah. How does it feel to be the clown of my story? Just literally.
Like, because I don't like Kaiser, so it was great.
I'm waiting for Kaiser to get good.
Yeah, to get like.
He's done some cool shit.
Get taken down. No, he has. Like, he has the fucking Kaiser impact. So.
Kaiser impact.
Yeah. I'm waiting for him to get like taken down to, you know, his to his own level.
You know who I hate so much on their current team? That guy Ness, Kaiser's like bitch friend. And he's like
He's worse than Kaiser.
Oh yeah, because he's
at some point when Kaiser puts him down, I'm like, yes, take it.
Go
Kaiser.
Because Ness will be like, how does it feel that like Kaiser scored the goal? He's like, shut the fuck up. I wasn't happy with that goal.
It's always great when like a character that's like supposed to be a villain or on the opposing side like has like one of his henchmen speak up, and then the guy like who you're supposed to hate like puts him in his place, and you're like, yeah, shut the fuck up.
You remember it's like in Beauty and the Beast, like Gaston and LeFou.
Yeah.
That's how they give. It's like Kaiser is Gaston and the other guy's
that makes sense.
So like his cheerleader, like, yeah, what's up?
I was actually thinking of recently because I was watching Vinland Saga, like how at one point like one of like Thorkel's henchmen starts like laughing at Thorfinn, like not taking him seriously, and then Thorkel just like kills him with an axe, and he's like, nah, man, I recognize him as a true warrior. Don't laugh.
Real shit.
It's
Get
like,
the fuck out.
Thorkel
goat. Yeah, but Kaiser's whatever. I'm waiting for him to get good and like a non like I get he's supposed to be the asshole.
He gets good when he gets into Isagi's harem. Or harem.
Yeah. Isagi just devouring everyone.
That's it. Like they're all really after Isagi.
They are.
So
they're
once he joins the harem,
Isagi.
That's it. It's over.
When Barrow is like, I'm Isagi hunting, and you're like,
oh my god. What are you doing? I'm Isagi hunting.
And he's like, it looks like a lion, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna devour my prey. I'm like, that can be taken few ways. Few ways.
Can't put like 10 ways.
Yeah.
But so I think it's really funny also trying to piece together which like international player is based off someone else. Like, because I think like there's some like very loose comparisons.
And there are some that are more like actually like.
Someone said that I'm basing this off the wiki, so your mileage may vary. Someone said the like British guy, like Chris whatever his name is, Prince or whatever.
Yeah, Chris Prince.
They're like he's based off Ronaldo because he's such a like flamboyant dude. Who's,
I didn't think of that, but I guess I could see that. Yeah, I guess like character design wise, no, he doesn't look like him. But I guess personality wise, that's a good way of like not like making like the actual one for one.
And then someone said that the guy who's like the fast guy they played against, who was from France, he's like
Was
Mbappe.
that Loki? No.
Yeah, Loki. Yeah.
But he's he's on the junior team.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, oh, he's like Mbappe, which is like the best player currently kind of thing. I don't know if they have Messi playing.
Okay.
I don't know who the Messi equivalent
Who's
would
Noel Noah? Like, would he be someone?
I don't know. I think they just made him up.
Yeah. But that's cool that they can have like actual like grounded in like actual players in the world that can, pretty much playing with the characters. So
yeah. So that's where we're currently at. Asagi's playing Barrow in the Italian league. The Italian league is cool. I like the Italian league.
Yeah, they're cool. That guy, their mentor, is kind of weird, but he's cool. Interesting. Like he's interesting.
He's probably the most interesting mentor I think we've seen.
Like his philosophy is very interesting.
Yeah. Also, his backstory was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not thinking about the mentor. I'm thinking about the player.
He's also. I like both of them. They're cool.
Yeah, they're both cool. He's a little weird though, but he's cool.
He's got the grill. He's got the golden teeth.
Yeah. But their backstory is interesting, and like what they're doing is pretty interesting.
I like that. So, and then the only one we have left, I think, is the French league, which has the Loki guy, and then it also has Rin and Shido, of course, and all of those guys.
I actually love low-key that when they were going up against Italy, and you hadn't heard about Barrow in a while, and then you're just like the 100 million yen man, Barrow,
and you're like
yes, yo, king.
Is Barrow your favorite?
Low-key, yeah. I feel like I don't know how it came. I think Isagi's actually my favorite, no matter how crazy he is.
Okay.
But also like my toxic favorite is definitely Barrow.
Do we have a favorite and then a toxic favorite?
I think so. I think you have to have your favorite, and you have to have your toxic favorite that you vibe with, even if you don't want to admit it.
I don't know who my toxic favorite.
Shido.
I don't. When I hear his lines about when he's like, "I will be impregnating the net," and just yelling it, I'm like,
"That's my goat."
Is this my blue lock all along? Is there something like is that the true blue lock we've been searching for?
So.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, that leads us seamlessly into our favorite. You know who's my sneaky favorite toxic character? I gotta pick. You won't like it. Stop it. No, but it's not that. It's not who you think it is. You know who I like? I forget his name though, because he's kind of irrelevant for half of the story. Let me pull it up. You know who's my sneaky toxic favorite? Not like one of my favorites, but like higher up than he should be. Yeah. Is Raichi.
Oh.
The guy who yells.
I wasn't expecting him.
I like him.
I was expecting someone else that started with an R.
Yeah. We will get to that. It's not toxic though. That's not toxic. Raichi, I like that he's kind of come back because they said he has like good stamina. He's good at like going like one-on-one with
I actually
people.
thought he was going to be the one that was going to just be left behind, but it's cool that he came back.
They brought him back. So he's on the team with Asagi and he's like doing more. But I just like that he's like, he actually like goes through the motions and like does the stuff, but he's just so grouchy and yells and shit the whole time. He was number one to like beat up that guy Kunan for like
Yeah,
he's
he's just a very like straightforward, full steam ahead kind of
yeah.
character. But that's it. Like there's nothing really.
But he's kind of toxic in that he just like yells and shit all the time. But he kind of is refreshing sometimes.
He's super abrasive, but again, it's sometimes like because he calls it like it is. It is like nice to hear because they had him like pretty much for most of U20 as just a commentator.
Yes.
Like why the fuck is this happening? Why aren't they putting me in? I want to be in. And they've kind of like milked him because he's still not. He's still training, so he's not on their level yet.
Not on the level yet, but he could be.
They're working on him. Like,
I wouldn't be against him getting more screen time.
Yeah. He's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I initially thought that he was the one that looked like, what was it? I thought like Kunigami looked like Bakugo, not more than Ichigo.
Oh, no, yeah, this guy kind of looks like...
And then you were like, no, Raichi looks more like... Raichi looks like more like Bakugo.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Bakugo.
And now I've like kind of flipped on that. I feel like... I don't think Raichi looks like Bakugo, but he definitely acts like Bakugo.
He looks like, what's the evolved form of Pikachu? Raichu.
Yeah, he looks like Raichu. Yeah.
There we go.
That's some shade to Raichu. Respect Raichu.
I would never.
No one respects Raichu.
We don't want him.
I always liked Raichu, actually.
We don't.
Better than Pikachu.
Stop. No one wants that.
What's wrong with
Was
you?
this when you said like Pikachu is overrated the other day?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my God. No, I think
Listen,
Ty said that.
I'll tell you something. Oh no, yeah. Hey, maybe Ty is my kindred spirit.
Camaraderie.
No, because I'll tell you what, this is kind of like heresy, blasphemy, but like I had Pokemon Yellow when I was a kid, and the first, like as soon as I got the chance, because Pikachu followed you and he wouldn't evolve and shit, and you couldn't use the Thunderstone on him. Every time you used it, it was like, no, you can't do it, or some bullcrap. As soon as I got the chance to trade his ass, I evolved him into a Raichu, and I brought him back.
Oh my God, that is heresy.
But I was only sad because then he doesn't follow you anymore. So I was like, this wasn't worth it.
That's deserved.
Yeah.
Look at what you did.
Sucks.
Look what you did to
it's
Pikachu.
Okay. Raichu's not my favorite Pokemon, but I had some love for him.
Yeah, okay.
You all think badly of him because of that Lieutenant Surge match.
Yeah, he's
when we were kids, that gym battle where he beat up on Pikachu. That's the only reason. But just forget that. Put that away.
Though. It works well though. It's good propaganda.
I think most people are just down on Raichu because of his design. I think it's not like as appealing as
Pikachu's so cute.
He's okay.
It's so cute.
All right, let's not
anyway,
talk.
Speaking of getting
Pokemon.
away from Pokemon onto Blue Lock.
That'll be its
Pokemon.
own episode.
Yeah.
Pokemon character design, hot takes.
Who's the best Pokemon? And then, so we've already discussed some. So who are your favorites? Do we do top 5?
I don't know. Okay, I think I can do top 5. I don't know if I can readily rank everyone yet.
No, it doesn't have to be ranked.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people, and I keep forgetting the names of characters.
I think out of order, just spitballing here, I think definitely Sagi's up there because I just find him like his progression really interesting and like his internal dialogue, even though at times he's chuny.
Yeah, chuny.
But Nagi I think is up there.
Yeah,
Nagi's pretty freaking cool.
Nagi's fun.
Barrow definitely.
Barrow's like number one.
He's the hype man.
Number one.
I think so.
$10 million.
Toxic number 1. Barrow, Nagi, Isagi. There's 2 more. Who the else? Oh, I like Chigiri.
Chigiri's great. Yeah,
he's pretty dope. He's like either up there or like whatever, like either top 5 or top 10.
Yeah.
And then who else? Who else exists? There's a lot of characters.
And then there's who else? Rin.
Bachira grew on me, but I don't know if he's top 5.
That's a good question.
I don't know, like
who else do we even have? It is a weird thing where we have all of these characters, but it's tough to have like favorites.
Because there's also a lot of characters I enjoy.
Yeah.
Like just being around, but I don't know if they're necessarily like a top
on that level.
Yeah.
And they have those guys who are like almost as popular but aren't, but who are like in the top 6 of like, let me look up their names. Like you would know them if you saw them. It's like that guy.
I actually really like Aiku, which is the goalie for the U20 team. Like the guy with the like heterochromia. Like
he's the defender.
Cool.
He's cool.
He's the defender.
Like
yeah.
I don't like his design, but I think
I kind of like his design.
I like it, but then they use the colors. Like the but like the colors they use are like highlighter colors.
Oh.
Let me look it up. Let me ruin it for you. I
think that's because I'm just thinking of the manga.
You know what? Maybe the manga was the best call all along.
Yeah.
Maybe the manga was it.
Manga's what we needed all along.
Because I'm on the anime
Well,
one.
how about you list your top 5 since I think you know them, and then I'll try to remember because I have one left. I don't
know if I've it's tough because I always thought of like top 3 because I'm like but if I don't,
I technically already cleared it then. The goal is reached top 3.
Yeah.
Top 5. Who else?
Who else would
Who
it be?
else is in there? Because a lot of the OG team didn't stay from the beginning.
No, I think they're gone. They're done. They're locked out. I had to say it. Stop. Stop.
Oh, that was good. Or bad. I don't know.
It was both. It was both. I have to go back to. I have to look up all of these character names. But I do like that. What's his name? Ikaido or whatever.
Ikaido.
No, what is his name that you called him?
I think it's easier to have a bottom 5 in Blue Lock than a top 5.
That's it. No, there's so many.
There's so many characters. They're
There's
so grating.
so many. Well, like the twins.
Yeah, I hate them.
Terrible. I hate them. Yeah, see, look at this.
Oh, do you have your top 5?
Yeah, look at this though. In the meantime.
Okay.
Like, if you could say.
Oh God.
Yeah, see what I mean? The colors.
That's a little annoying.
That's a little obnoxious.
Yeah.
But like, it's a cool design in theory. But then like, take the colors out.
It's just the lime green.
Why do they have lime green? Whose eyes are fucking lime green?
I guess they wanted to make it really obvious that they're different colors.
If you didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, these are two. It's like black and then. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. So I think my top 3. I'm always torn. I feel like I don't know who my favorite is between Nagi and Chigiri.
Okay.
I'm very
Most
torn.
people go Chigiri.
What?
Most people go, I think, Chigiri.
No, I think Nagi's more
I
popular.
thought Chigiri's the Fujo fave, though.
Nagi's getting a spin-off.
It's true.
Nagi's getting a spin. Nagi's definitely the
follow
fave.
your heart.
I feel like I like Chigiri a bit more. I think
so.
I'm going to say Chigiri and then Nagi. I do like Nagi a lot. There's something about like the like dude who's like talented but not passionate, but then also like the kind of just like deadpan dude who's like everyone else is screaming and shit. He's just like, I'm here. Like when he scored the first goal and then he fist pumped, he's like, oh, that was kind of cringe.
I love that. He's just self-aware of Locke's own cringe.
That was kind of cringe. And I do like Rio. We're going to talk about that in a second. It's not a hot take. That's not a hot take. That's not a hot take. You're presenting it as a hot take, and it's not a hot take.
I just think you're misguided. That's it.
It's
not a hot
wrong.
take. It's just you're misguided.
Blue Lock is wrong.
It's okay. It's all right. I don't care what you guys say.
I
still
care.
think it's misguided.
We're just weebs.
I think you're all misguided.
Okay, and then I liked him, and then Isagi, of course, and then I don't know who my 5th is.
Wait. Okay, so Isagi, Chigiri. In no order, or is that in the order?
I think I will say Chigiri, Nagi, Rio, Isagi, and I'm torn on a 5th. I feel like if Rin did not have that really cringe scene, it would be Rin.
Yeah.
But it's not Rin because he pissed me off. I feel like we both have just like top 4s.
Let's just put ego as like part of the top 5.
Yeah,
this is all possible because of ego.
Yeah, ego. Because his philosophy is interesting and he's cringe.
Ego is the total opposite of subtext.
Okay.
Subtext is for cowards. So.
Yes. I love that. Okay, the top 5 spot is open for submission from Rin if he gets better and like less cringe.
Yeah.
Kunigami if he stops being cringe.
Yeah.
And if we get more screen time for other people in like a really compelling way where I'm like, okay, let's go. Like I could see one of the Italian, like the
the team members from
from
the other countries are pretty cool.
So you need to either be ridiculously hype or less cringe, and then you can get the 5th spot.
Maybe I should put Bachira in top 5 because I'm trying to think of someone else.
I do like Bachira.
I do like Bachira. He grew on me.
He grew on me a lot, considering I was
like I don't have anything against him anymore. So
yeah,
like they actually wove the monster thing with him, like to be
pretty
like
well.
Like to actually make more sense and to be something that doesn't hold him down. And
he felt less gimmicky as he went on.
Yeah, because at first he was like, he's still like, he's still gimmicky, but he's definitely like feels a lot more organic.
Yeah.
So I'll put Bachira.
Me
top
too.
5. Yeah.
Bachira, but
asterisk. Open to be drafted. You can still get eliminated if you don't play well. So
if open seeking hype, not cringe.
Yeah. You give us cringe, you're out.
Yeah,
you're out.
But I do like Baro too.
Yeah.
Like he's so ridiculous, and I think his not passing thing is so ridiculous. But like
it's so ridiculous, but it's so good. I was like, I don't know. He definitely cemented when when they gave him that fucking goal in U20. And with the yellow card. It was great.
Because when you're like, my guy.
It just made it.
Yeah. Because I have I think my sports anime manga soft spots are if someone gets injured and it's like trying to come back from that or dealing with that, which is like Chigiri.
Yeah.
Also probably my favorite design in the whole thing. I like the braid on the side. Chigiri. And then if you have the deadpan while everyone else is just going crazy, which is Nagi. And I think Rio's development is actually interesting, even though you're like,
all right, we'll talk about this in a second.
You're like, this is toxic development, and it's not, but it's also Blue Lock.
No, this is different. All I'm gonna say is the thing I liked about Baro too is they built him up as this going back to that the guy that's not self-aware. He just thinks he's the king. He thinks he's the best. He's unflinching. He doesn't want to waver.
Just the biggest asshole.
Then they broke him, and then he started to realize kind of introspect, self-reflect on how he can do things differently. Why questioning his own mindset, and then. But then in the most ridiculous way, instead of character growth, he just doubles down and it's well, I'm going to still do it my way. And I'm like, you know what? I could fucking respect that.
And I think they present
because it's still growth.
It is. It's also just like, I'm just going to be so good at my thing that I'm forcing everyone into my philosophy instead of bending to theirs.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting about him is when you see more of him is you assume he's just like, okay, he's an egotistical asshole.
Yeah.
He just kind of sucks. But
when you see him off the field,
he's just like the most like hardcore athlete, like OCD.
Yeah.
He has to do all his training. And that's like a lot of thing with athletes where like they have their routines and if they break it, it fucks with them.
Well, he's even like that with everything else.
Exactly.
Like the bed being like he yells at Nagi and Isagi when he rooms with him, like the bed not being made or like the towels being all over the place. He hates messes. And it's just funny.
And then like when Asagi leaves, he realizes that Asagi was like helping clean up after them. And he's with the two like airheaded, like messy people. He's like, Jesus, I didn't know what I was missing with Asagi on.
Yeah. And it's so funny too in all the promotional material, like when I went to Japan of like the Blue Lock stuff, they had them in like these wedding suits like for the exhibition, and they had like Baro in a wedding suit, but he had his hair just down, like completely down.
His hair is
I didn't
like
recognize
long,
him. Yeah, it looked
like
hugely
ridiculous.
long.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So those are our favorites. Should we end it off with what we think about, I guess, Rio, like our disagreement about Rio?
What is your beef with Rio? You can
Listen.
say that. Like everyone, let me know if who you agree or disagree with after this, because this is an interesting perspective. I'll give you credit on it. No, it's credit.
I don't have anything like against Rio. Like I think Rio's development, like the whole time, from the beginning, like from when Nagi left him, and this was very early on, which was that interesting. Was it the round robin or was it was the one
where
3-on-3s where they started picking like other teammates, and Nagi chose to go with who's more interesting to like pair up with, and Rio got left behind. And ever since then, he's been a fucking scorned widow.
Yeah,
like
he's been
pissed,
salty.
like emotional about like Nagi didn't choose me. He like went with someone else. Like I'm now going to play my game to make him like regret not being with me. Yeah. And he's like so obsessed with it that he's like impairing like his own development. In a way, he does still develop, but it's for the wrong reasons. And then finally, when he starts to find himself, he starts to like really kind of like get over that and like realize like, hey, he's kind of doing his own thing. I got to do my own thing. I'm playing, because he was playing really soccer initially for himself. Like they gave him his own backstory, like with like his parents and how he didn't want to like
just take over the business.
He wanted to do his own thing. So really, it was never really about Nagi. He had his own goals.
I don't know.
Well, he later met Nagi, and that.
But I think it was kind of coinciding.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. Yeah. But like, so he was pursuing this, and he wanted to be a soccer player and all of that. Then when he became enmeshed with Nagi, then it was all about their dynamic, and that's why he was like so scorned or like so jaded about, like not jaded, pissed about it when like Nagi left. So finally, he's like learning to stand on his own 2 feet, like develop his own style and do his own thing. And even the freaking coach from the other country is like, oh, I'm sorry, that was for Nagi. That they wanted Nagi to, because even Nagi was also like hampered by, he relied too much on Reo and he didn't really want to think for himself. So he's like learning and developing. Yeah. And then the moment that Nagi gives him a little bit of attention, a little bit of a manipulative, hey, what's up? Reo runs back. He runs back like a little...
You're like viewing it. You're like talking about the ship as if it's like Hachi from Nana. Yes. You're like, this is.
It's like it's Nagi's Takumi. Not really, but it's like in that moment, it's like Takumi just comes knocking at the door,
no.
And then Hachi Reo comes like, yay, attention, come back, baby, and it's like, no, don't do it. But Reo doesn't have a Nana. So
he just
only has a Takumi.
Gotcha.
And then it's just like, this isn't good for either of them because I like both of them. Well, okay, I like Nagi more.
Yeah.
But like I liked where that Reo was kind of doing his own thing, even though it was like kind of like a more of an all rounder that's kind of good at everything.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing for him to learn. He's like that chameleon who realizes he's never going to be 100% at everything, so he could try and be 99% at everything.
Because I feel like Nagi at some point, whenever he like realizes, you know what, I want to do something else, he's gonna do the same thing. He's gonna pursue his own interests, and that's not bad.
Yeah,
I'm not blaming him for that. It's more of he's taking Reo along with him to then Reo is gonna just, if he doesn't stand on his own 2 feet, he's just gonna.
Well, that's where I disagree, is that I think what they've come to realize is that unless they both stand on their own 2 feet, they can't accomplish their promise of being on the world stage together. And that's what Reo learned, is that like he needs to be the best. So when Nagi is the best, they actually work well together and they're not holding each other back. So like, I think what they tried to present in that one match is that like Nagi is like, I needed to go on my own way so I could be really good and live up to our present of the promise. And that's what Rio realized too. But now it's not like Rio is like no longer working with anyone but Nagi. Yeah. He's still like working on his shit, but then they're able to come together and do like chemical reactions.
Well, that's a good take, and it's fair. I just felt like it was, if that was going to happen, I feel like it was too soon. Because even when you see the coach's reaction to Nagi, like he's like, all right, I'm done with Nagi. I'm not interested. Not the coach. Sorry, the player. The other player in that country that he's like really into analyzing. He was like, I'm done. I'm not interested in this guy anymore.
Yeah, but I think that was also just like a weird way of trying to be like, who's fighting over Nagi? Which was also
because he also probably wanted the control. Like,
because I think Nagi is still like learning to think for himself. It's also just like they weren't possibly utilizing Nagi to the best potential with other people.
I just felt like in that moment though, Nagi, like as at least how they presented it was that he was having a hard time thinking for himself about it, and he kind of chose the easier path in that moment, which was going through. I don't know. Also, that whole thing of like when characters choose the easier path, it kind of sticks with me, and it like
is it the easier path?
Because I always think it's presented usually as like not good.
But is it the easier path? I don't know if it's the easier path.
You guys weigh in.
Yeah, because he could have gone with that other dude's way of thinking.
Yeah.
And then, but it seems like he chose after like all this thing. And to be fair, I know what you think it might have come too soon. I don't know if this whole like Rio being pouty over Nagi thing has gone on for like 150 chapters. Right. It's gotten kind of.
But shouldn't he like get over that himself? Not the remedy isn't.
I thought he did get over it.
I'm back with Nagi. Now I'm no longer pouty. Like literally. He's throwing himself. I was showing you panels. Yes. He's throwing himself at Nagi like right after, like day after. He's back on honeymoon phase. He's like, hey, we're back together.
And we're so back.
We're back.
But I think they might as well just get to that point because like we have gone through we gone through the U20. We went through the 3x3 versus 3s. We've gone through all this other shit. Like
you're just like, I just want him to be happy. That's
I just want him to be happy.
If Hachi's happy with Takumi, it's fine.
No, that's a bit different. No, we don't stand.
No, that's different.
We don't stand. But no, this one was kind of like, okay, we made it happen. Let's go because we have more shit to get through. Yeah. We have more players. We got more teams. Let's keep it moving.
All right. Come talk to me when Nagi's two-timing Hachi over there.
Wait, with who? Isagi? As always, Isagi. It's like
with Isagi.
With the Isagi harem.
Yeah, and then Ryo's just telling himself, it's okay. It's all right. Roaming eye. It's fine. It's normal.
Then you got like Chigiri on their team too, being like, what the fuck is going on?
I just want to play.
I am literally just here playing soccer.
Bachira's just dribbling in the corner.
Yeah, right?
Guys, just have fun.
It's a metavision. Isagi.
Yeah. Isagi's studying his metavision. It's like,
shipping
I'm missing one more piece. Yeah. Bachira, meanwhile, is like, you just got to look behind you.
That's so funny.
I don't know. Either way, aside from that,
we're here. We're ready for more Blue Lock.
I'm excited to see more. Like either way, I'm down to see like where it goes.
I know we get a season 2 and we get a Nagi movie. Which, so just in case you weren't sure who the most popular character was, the ones who are getting the spin-off movie and light novel.
Yeah. Like it's kind of the writings on the wall. Yeah. Do you think predictions? Obviously, we won't know for sure. Do you think season 2 is gonna amp up the animation? It's gonna be better. Obviously, the movie most likely will be. Or do you think it's going to go down in production? Just because I've been seeing that happening with a few animes, that the season 2s are like not living up to season 1.
I don't know which one. I mean, logically speaking, which it never always happens, Blue Lock, as we mentioned, was the best-selling manga of last year. Yeah. It was even outselling One Piece. Yeah. Like that's when it was like really doing well. It's sold over 22 million copies so far historically. Yeah. So all things considered, they should be pumping as much money into this as possible. But sometimes they don't. They haven't necessarily done that with Haikyuu. Yeah. But like with recent stuff. So I don't think there's any reason we should get a lesser quality of season 2. Yeah. But I just don't know what to expect. I don't know when it's coming out. You can hope for the best because if you want any match to be as perfectly executed as possible, it's the U20 match.
Yes.
So we want that.
And actually, I think, you know what? If they would improve in one thing, and it didn't actually bother me. I'm not saying it because it bothered me, but like the CGI crowd and all over season 1, it was kind of there. It was a little
whatever.
It wasn't that big of a deal. But do you think season 2 would remedy that and not have that, or just keep it? Or maybe make it more like blended in?
Well, I don't care about the crowd as much. I just want them to capitalize on those hype moments we talk about with the panel where it's like they get super detailed. They're doing like the Barrow symbolism as a lion. Like if they carry that off, or like Nagi doing cool shit, Asagi with his puzzle pieces. Like we got to capitalize on that. I don't really care about the background.
Yeah, because if you have a little bit of CGI crowd, but you capitalize on those moments, then that's all that matters.
Yeah. So.
And if they can include also like the bad translations on purpose, that would be peak.
Embryos.
Yeah. So I'm excited for whenever season 2 comes out. I usually like when I read a manga, like I'm not motivated to watch the adaptation, but for Blue Lock,
I'll make an exception.
I might do it. Yeah. It's going to be exciting to talk about. Hear all the developments like live going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll get to the womb fertilization thing.
They better. 2. I think they might do 24 episodes. I gotta check.
But yeah, that's kind of like all we got on
that's all
Blue Lock. I think we talked about everything.
We did. We covered pretty much
all
everything.
Our gripes, all our hype moments, all our gross the gross moments that took us out.
All the cringe and hype hand in hand.
So if you guys haven't watched Blue Lock already, definitely check it out. This is our official recommendation.
Official recommendation. Go check it out.
If you did watch it and you enjoyed it, let us know what you guys think in the comments, how you felt about the episode, how you feel about Blue Lock itself. Do you kind of agree with some of the stuff? Is there some stuff that we didn't like that you enjoyed more? Definitely let us know. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And like the podcast if you enjoyed it. Besides that, this is just our opinion because at the end of the day, what do we know? You want to say it?
We're just weebs.
We're just weebs. See you guys. Ow.
Lock off.
See you guys. Did you just say lock off?